When you have your orgasm, it's no longer just, I feel it here in my genital organs. It's also not just, I feel it in my entire body. It's like, oh, my body has now expanded to become more than just this physical thing. I feel it as though I'm everything right now.
I'm Amy.
I'm April.
Certified sex educators, sexperts of the year, and best-selling authors.
And we're on a mission to help you have more spicy, connected, and amazing shameless sex.
Welcome to the Shameless Sex Revolution.
We're so close, it's like we have our own language. We're making sex and relationships shameless.
To learn more, go to shamelesssex.com.
And for 15% off some of our favorite sex toys, use code SHAMELESSSEX at purepleasureshop.com.
You are listening to a pleasure podcast. For more from our sex podcast collective, visit pleasurepodcasts.com.
Well, hello, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome back to the Shameless Sex Podcast. Hey, Chip.
What's up?
Are you ready to learn or relearn, even though we already did this episode about cervical and transcendent orgasms?
I am. We haven't ever done an episode like this, and she answered all of the tough questions that I was curious about. And she's funny and sweet.
She's awesome. Yeah, and what does she call her cervix? Her cervical oracle?
Yeah, there were a couple of t-shirt moments in this recording because
definitely.
Yeah, like I can't wait to listen to it when it's all done.
Yeah, I think if you haven't had a cervical orgasm, nothing wrong with you. She will make you probably want to learn how to, or maybe you'll be like, oh yeah, that's what that was. Although she does say if you don't know, then you probably don't know, like you've never had one. Like, right. When you know, right?
Right. Well, yeah. And then you can have tips. You can listen to this and get tips on how you know, and also how to do it.
Yep. As well, also how to do it as a lover too. So stay tuned, y'all. Before we get to the sex question, we talked about this last mini podcast. We've been doing this. Have we been doing retreats for 2 years now?
I think our first one was in November 2024.
I think so.
Because remember, it was like promoting our book because our book had just come out.
Yeah.
So,
it's been
was that 2023?
Yeah.
So it was November 2023.
Yeah, I think this is our fifth one, but it'll be our second one in the Palm Springs area. Only 3 nights, 4 beautiful days. So the time commitment isn't too crazy. And what we say, our tagline that we've been learning from our retreats is, we save relationships. We save marriages. People come in like, and they leave.
We also say we're like making dreams come true.
Yeah. And you make new friends. You're part of the community. You feel, relaxed. You take a bunch of workshops. You learn a lot. Probably leave extra juiced up. And this one is September 11th to 14th? Question mark? In my brain.
No, it's through the 14th. And we've got some repeat attendees that have already come to one of our retreats before, and it's for everybody. There's a lot of couples that go, and we really love doing these retreats. And we're almost full. Every day I see another booking or another. You can download a brochure, everyone, if you go to shamelesssex.com and look at our events. So if you're curious, you can download a brochure, see what it's all about. And there's payment plans because we know that money can be tough, but just put on your credit card, okay?
Yeah, get those miles, Those miles,
yeah.
Yeah, go check it out. Like April said, shamelesssex.com. All right. Sex question time. And which I can relate to, although I haven't been married, but the age of this person, I was like, me too.
Yeah.
I'm a 40-year-old woman, and while I'm still so attracted to my husband of 10 years, my desire for sex with him just isn't what it used to be. Part of it might be because I don't feel as comfortable in my skin as I used to. We just had our second baby 2 years ago, and I'm still struggling to lose the pregnancy weight. But I also just don't have the same energy as I used to. He's very patient with me and isn't taking it personally, but I know we both want to keep the sexy spark alive as we get older. Any tips?
Dun, dun,
Good question.
dun.
Dun, dun, dun. I feel like so many people listening can relate to this. They're like, me too.
Even if you're not in your 40s, I think that, we've talked about when we had Dr. Castillo with Remy Paillet on our show. That's when you and I had those aha moments about our hormones. Remember? Where we're like, maybe we should look into our blood work and see what's going on. Because I will tell you, I was a raging biatch. And it's not even because I had kids or it was like even the pregnancy weight, because I clearly haven't had a kid, but it was like kind of mood swings and things. And I knew that it was out of whack. And I swear after that episode, that's when my life changed, and it saved my relationships, getting my hormones balanced. I 100% swear to you. Swear. It saved my relationship.
Yeah, me too. Now, for me, less about like the mood swings, but more the lower libido, regardless of being in a new relationship in that lust phase or in a relationship of 5 years. It's like, what is this? And that was, for the last decade. And then when we learned about this with Dr. Castillo and Remy Paya, and if for everyone who wants to learn more about that, go to episode 336. It's about how to have the ultimate pleasure at any age. But yeah, like you said, we got our hormones checked. We started getting testosterone, and all of a sudden I'm like, there's my libido.
And the thing is, it's sometimes it's difficult for people to go into, they might not have like a good HRT doctor near them, which is hormone replacement therapy, or intimate health doctor near them, which is why we started working with LifeRx.md, because you don't need insurance. It's telehealth, but it's actually legitimate. So I started on the NAD Plus, Amy, which has helped my brain fire, like the brain fog's lifted. And then have you heard of, so people are going crazy about GLP-1s, which is...
I'm just learning about it. Yeah.
So you can get a customized program from them, which I love because
like from
accessibility. Home. Do you know how many? I've sent that episode 336 link to probably, if I had to count off the top of my head, at least 18 to 19 people that have asked me what my secret is. And I'm like, Amy and I both have a secret. And it's called hormone balancing. So you get your blood work done. It's really easy. And I love that how accessible medicine is these days with having the internet.
Yep, totally. Yeah. So for us, we have the doctors somewhere, here near us, but for a lot of people, they don't, like April said. So LifeRx.md makes it really easy. Like you said, it's telehealth. You just schedule an appointment there. It's shipped, whatever your products are, it's customized to you. Like April said, it's shipped to your door. Everything is just super smooth and super easy. And we need that way, especially when we're dealing with things like this, right? For this person talking more about weight loss, Rx.md tends to weight loss, especially the energy piece. They tend to the energy piece, right? So,
also just even libido, and even if you don't. So I know that this question is with someone that's 40 years old and they have a husband and children. But I wish that when I was in my 30s, when I started having fluctuation in my like, not necessarily with my libido, but just like my moods. And, people gain weight, then they lose weight, or they can't figure out how to feel like their best selves. Nothing wrong with weight gain or weight loss if you feel good, right?
Yeah,
if you
totally.
feel good, then that's awesome. But if you're like, what the fuck's wrong with me? What I wish I had my old self back. That's when you have to take a look at the options. And I feel like LifeRx.md is also affordable, which is important too. So go to LifeRx.md and check it out. And then if you use we have a code for you that's shameless, very easy to remember. You'll get $50 off your first month. And it's really affordable when it comes to those GLP-1. I guess like those things have been known to be really expensive. They're talking about like LifeRx.md has it for $250, which is way more affordable and I think it's like a 5-week supply. So just go to the website and check it out. Don't take our word for it either. There's like thousands of people that have rated them 5 stars and depend on what their services are. So
we'll have the link in the episode's description. And like with April saying too, regardless if it's weight loss or energy, when you feel good in your body and you have energy, your libido can follow, right? But if you're like really tired and you don't feel good in your body, libido might not be a part of that too. So it all matters. All of it is connected.
And it's not going to be a guess, because you do have your blood work done. So you don't want anyone guessing at what you need. Don't do that. I've had friends be like, well, I got the estrogen patch because everyone else was doing it. And I'm like, don't do that. You need to get your blood work done. Okay. Yeah. that's first and foremost. So
totally.
That's a great question. And I hope this person listens and gets what they need so they feel great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you ready for Katrina's bio? Amy?
Yes, I know. And her last name can be hard to say. So Katrina and listeners, let's not judge.
Yeah. And she says it great on the show. So you can
because it's her own last name.
Right. So Catrina Armendariz is a feminine liberation mentor and former dominatrix turned somatic guide for visionary women ready to bring their pleasure, power, and deepest presence to the forefront of their lives. With over a decade of experience in coaching and trauma-informed embodiment, she helps women feel absolutely turned on in their bodies, in their relationships, and even in their businesses. To learn more, go to CatrinaArmendariz.com.
All right, everyone, it is interview time, and we are here with Catrina Armendariz.
Sounded like a UFC announcer, like the.
I won't even try to do that again. And we are here to talk about cervical orgasms, transcendent orgasms, and also the A spot, which is part of cervical orgasms, but we'll learn more about that in a second. You already heard a little bit about the wonderful, amazing, beautiful Katrina. And if you're not watching us on YouTube, you should see beautiful Katrina in the bio and the intro. And we will start the episode as we always do. Katrina, welcome to our show. And can you please tell us and our listeners a little bit more about how you got to where you are in the field of sexuality?
Oh, wow. Thank you. What a beautiful introduction. I'm so excited to be here with you ladies and with your beautiful audience. I can't wait to meet them. Well, my first orgasm happened when I was 4, and I had a lot of time to myself growing up. So, once I got that initial spark, I was like, how can I keep chasing this feeling? So I had a lot of time just diving deep into this experience of orgasm. And also I started meditating at this very young age. So it was a lot of, okay, going into non-ordinary states of consciousness, experiencing orgasm. And then that pretty much was most of my childhood. I didn't have like your typical experience of shame around it. Although a lot of it happened behind closed doors, I never was shamed for it. So I got to explore it quite a bit. Now, fast forward at some point in my journey, I started exploring dominatrix, and just happened into this. One of my first lovers encouraged this out of me. And that's a whole nother long story, but that sparked another journey of me diving deeper into reclaiming my sensuality, in a phase of my life where I had forgotten it. At that point, it was like corporate career. I was no longer a kid. I didn't have all of this time to myself. And so kind of going through all of these different phases, that then led me to New York City, where I realized there were just so many people who hadn't experienced, women specifically, who hadn't experienced their bodies or hadn't allowed themselves the opportunity to dive deep into the possibilities that their bodies could give them as it pertains to pleasure, non-ordinary states of consciousness, and expanding their capacity to feel. And it sparked me in a way where I was like, okay, maybe this is something I could start to share. Because, women were coming to me quite a bit about, how can I have an orgasm? How can I do this? Like, what's this? What's that? And I'm like, okay, well, let's get you started here. And so 2017 is when I started to officially step into the role of a conscious sexuality coach in New York. And at that point, I was merging a bit of everything. I was a neo-tantric facilitator, leading couples, leading singles through ceremonies, and also merging the dominatrix, sensual domination of curating the experience of a very sensual, I would say, evolution in someone's personal journey. That's very general. I'll kind of leave it at that. So all of that coming to today, now it's all merged into everything that I do, specifically helping women to feel more empowered in their lives. Because from what I've learned in my own journey, that cervical orgasm has just sort of exploded and expanded my capacity to be present in my relationships, in my business. Yeah, I could keep going. I'll pause right there.
I like this. This is great. Yeah. Empowerment is a word that's used often. And I think when we say that, it's because there's a lot of shame in being a woman with orgasm at how can I achieve a G-spot orgasm? How can I achieve a cervical orgasm? Something wrong with me? Am I not empowered because I haven't had that type of orgasm? So I think this is a great conversation. Before we're recording, you were also saying to Amy and myself that there isn't a lot of content out there about cervical orgasm.
No.
And so I think this is a really great topic to dive into with you, because people want to know about it. Is something wrong with me? But I don't know. So let's not go there. What I want to know from you, my darling, what is a cervical orgasm? And is it the same as an A-spot orgasm? Please tell us.
Yeah. Okay. Cervix. Cervix is the neck of the uterus that connects the uterus to the vaginal canal. And, a lot of questions that clients will give me is how do I find the cervix? What I've heard, it feels like this, and it feels somatic, to the touch. Like when they're inserting, it feels like a little hard or it feels like that. And I said, the best thing that we have as women is that we can actually feel in our bodies the experience of what happens when we touch it. And so better to like debunk or like throw away all the things that everyone else is telling you it's supposed to feel like and go have your own internal experience and explore. And you may not feel anything, but that's the point. Like if you never use your arm, if you never touched it, if you never massaged it for years, and then all of a sudden you touched it, you might not notice you touched it. So like go and start having a relationship with it. Like get that started before, you start imposing everyone else's ideas of what it should feel like onto the experience.
So my understanding is you already shared that it's where the uterus is connecting with the vaginal canal. People kind of often describe it as kind of like a spongy donut thing. I made it sound so sexy. But also hormonally, like April and I talk about this, where sometimes our cervix hangs lower based on our hormones.
Right.
Sometimes it can grow. It's very interesting.
So it's easier to achieve a cervical orgasm when it's hanging low and it wobbles to and fro.
Can you tie it in a knot and in a bow? that's like 2.0 sex right there.
Right.
I really tied your cervix.
Sounds really delicious, actually. I'm like, I wonder what that would feel like.
I got her. Katrina's. I love it. Katrina, I got her. Yeah,
you got her.
I got her.
Only 10 minutes in, you already got her.
My cervix is waking up.
Yeah. Good morning.
Hello.
Yeah.
Ovulation, and here's too, like the same thing. Like there's certain times of our cycle where it'll be more receptive to touch or to just a sensation of any sort. But again, experimentation is queen. So yes, we say that like ovulation makes sense, is when it would be most receptive because it's less sensitive to pain. In which case you have more opportunity to at least feel sensation and some sort of awakening there. But yeah, for me personally, my own experience, 100%. Like ovulation is when she's like, give it to me.
Yeah, get in here.
And that's the kind of energy we want her to have before we're entering into our own like penetration, or inviting someone in, because that's when we know like she's ready for it. Otherwise, we're just kind of like hoping for something. She's not asking.
Yeah.
For
well, and the pain part too, and she's sensitive for a reason. I mean, it's the cervix is what opens up to like let babies through and like fluids travel through and menstrual blood. And so the question that April asked about the A spot though. So it stands for anterior. So the cervix is not the A spot. The cervix is the cervix. When we're talking about cervical pleasure, is it the A spot or A area?
Yeah. So, okay. Deep vaginal zone generally, right? Like the deepest part of a vagina. We've got the cervix, the cervical donut. And then on the outer crevices of that donut, we have the fornices. So we have the anterior fornix and we have the posterior fornix. So that's where we get the A spot and the P spot. So anterior, for all of our beautiful ladies out there, it's the part of the vaginal wall that is closest to the belly button. And then posterior is going to be the closest to our anus. So the cervix itself is not necessarily right at the very end of our vaginal canal. That's actually our posterior. So that's like the P spot. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like, it's a little more anterior, the cervix. And so the A spot, whilst like, okay, I'll speak a little bit about the nerve innervation because I think that's like on a medical aspect, pretty cool, but also slightly insightful for our somatic journey. So we have 4 major nerve pathways that innervate our genital. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Our arousal zones. And so we have the pudendal for the clitoris. We have the hypogastric. We have the pelvic. And then we have for the internal vaginal area. And then we have for the deep zone, specifically hypogastric, a bit of pelvic, and the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is activated through stimulation of the cervix. And the vagus nerve is different from these other nerves because it bypasses the spine. So they've done these really cool and incredible studies where women are able to access their cervical orgasm after spinal cord injury. So that's how they've determined that, it bypasses the spine, which means there's less gatekeeping on the way to the limbic system, to the brainstem. which is why we get such incredible emotional and non-ordinary states of consciousness experiences with the cervical stimulation orgasm. So that nerve, the vagus nerve, being predominantly in the uterus and the cervix, and the posterior or the P spot and the A spot being immediate to the cervix, there's going to be a little bit of stimulation of that vagal nerve just by proximity. Mostly the P spot though, rather than the A spot. So a little mind-blowing science there. Yes, spots all over the place.
You watching YouTube, April, are both like, huh.
I just want a full body like CAT scan so I can see where all of the things are located and discover, because wouldn't that be cool if that was like part of becoming an adult? You're like, here are my sexual locations, and you give people a map.
Here you go. Yeah, here's a map. Good luck
There's
to you.
an idea for us. We're gonna buy a shameless CAT scan machine, and then we will have people come to us, and we'll give you your map.
There you go.
But in the meantime, let's talk to Katrina. I know.
Like, I would totally do that with a partner. I'd be like, hey, can we hook up to this and look at ourselves as we're doing this?
Ooh, that would even be, I wonder if that would work. There might be too much motion.
Uh-oh.
Got to stand still.
We're honest. We need more doctor friends. Doctor friends, let's talk to them. So I know you've already kind of alluded to this, but so transcendent orgasms for listeners who maybe don't, maybe transcendent throws them off. They're like, Om Shanti, transcendent. But what is a transcendent orgasm? And can they only be obtained through cervical pleasure?
Love this question. Non-ordinary state of consciousness, transcending the mind-body mechanism. So we identify a lot of times, right, with our body itself and this finite experience of being our human self. When we get a transcendental experience, whether it's through orgasm or through a meditation or through deep access of love, looking at your child for the first time, whatever it is for you, all of a sudden you're no longer localized to this beautiful like creature that you are, but also to this beautiful experience that the cosmos is. And you feel like you're the cosmos. You don't feel like you're just this anymore. You actually, this whole sense of oneness that you hear a lot of yogis and gurus speak of, you start to experience it for yourself. And you're like, whoa, I've transcended my mind-body mechanism. I'm no longer just this. I'm this and all of everything else. And just the experience of that feels unlimited, right? Like you feel like, oh my gosh, is this what it means when Deepak Chopra talks about pure potentiality and your limitless nature? Like you get to touch that in a transcendent experience. So transcendental orgasm, same thing. When you have your orgasm, it's no longer just, I feel it here in my genital organs. It's also not just, I feel it in my entire body. It's like, oh, my body has now expanded to become more than just this physical thing. I feel it as though I'm everything right now. And people describe it in so many different ways, but that's the best way that I could put it out there.
So it's not an exclusive thing that is only achievable through cervical orgasm. Sounds to me like it's achievable through, I mean, it could be achieved through however, when I touch Amy's hand, some orgasm. Hey.
Stop
that
it.
Easy, everyone. They got me.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, for me, my first transcendental orgasm happened when I was in a deep Kundalini breathwork practice in India. And there was no stimulation. There was no toy inside of me or cock inside of me or finger. It just happened because I was so open in that moment. And then later on, I had a cervical orgasm and I was like, oh my gosh, it's the same experience I had.
Were you clenching or doing anything with your pelvic floor to help achieve that?
You know what? No.
Okay.
Complete opposite, actually. Like because I know we're on the same generation. Like we were raised with Kegels. Kegels were like king. But that tightness that we were encouraged to develop and cultivate is the antithesis to the relaxation that we want for the cervical orgasm. In fact, the vagus nerve, when it's activated, it's a parasympathetic activator. So what it does in and of itself, relative to all the different orgasms we can have, like on a nerve level, is it actually activates our parasympathetic response. It allows us to feel a deep relaxation in all different areas of our body. So it opens us up to feeling more, like more energy can actually move through the nerve pathways.
Hey, sexy humans. We are sliding into your ear holes with a pleasure PSA.
Meet VB Health, doctor-crafted supplements that are third-party tested, so you get science, not snake oil.
And I'm living proof, y'all. Every morning, I pop my soaking wet capsules, probiotics, prebiotics, and vitamins that keep my vagina flora balanced and my pussy juices flowing.
My bedside MVP is Drive Boost. It's a clean, plant-powered libido formula for all bodies. There's no mystery powders, just nutrients that whisper DTF directly to your brain.
And penis owners, don't feel left out. Load Boost pumps up semen volume, supports sperm health, and even improves the flavor. When my partner skips a dose, I taste the difference. So trust me, your lover will too.
Not impressed yet? Well, you've got 100 days to get a full refund. So the only thing you're risking is not having the pleasure you deserve.
For anyone that's ready to level up, go to vb.health, punch in shameless, and snatch 10% off your order right now.
That's vb.health, code shameless for wetter pussies, tastier loads, and a bangin' libido. The link is in the episode's description.
Great, because that leads into the question. That's a great tip, because I was going to ask you a couple of top tips for people that want to experience cervical orgasm, which is it could be transcendent as well, right? We learned this. So that's a great tip. So sort of opening and bearing down, it sounds like, would help with a cervical orgasm, or are these two separate things? Mm-hmm. And let's start with the receivers, because I think for pairing that with partner play would be great, because we have a lot of couples that listen to the show. So if you can give some tips for that regarding, either whatever you're feeling in your heart right now, or your pussy, you can share.
Or your cervix.
Yeah. For the top tips for receivers.
Let me tune into my pussy oracle.
All right. The pussy oracle. Okay. This is fun.
Hello, oracle. I think I should move my mic down.
Yeah. It's quite phallic, actually. So she can talk. Sorry. That's not what we meant.
Yeah. Well, and that. It could be both. Why not? This is a great question. So opposite of clenching, I would say, okay, to kind of keep it short, because you could tell I'm quite long-winded. I have so much to say. It's a journey for us as women, and it's important to kind of bow down to that, right? To not be like so committed to a quick fix when it comes to this intense, beautiful, like mind-blowing orgasm that we have the capability of accessing. So de-armoring is so critical for us to allow ourselves to experience this natural state. And what do I mean by that? That means like we've accumulated so much tension. Like we know, like when we get a massage and we've got a lot of tension, the massage might actually not feel so good if they're going straight in, right?
That happens to me all the time. So, this is why I don't like massage, because it hurts me every time.
That's okay. And so you know somatically exactly what that feels like. Okay, I've got too much tension. This person's not nuanced. They're not attuned to my body right now. And I'm not feeling like I can somatically release into the experience. So it's armoring up instead. All my muscle knows right now is armor. And I'm just like you. For most of my life, it was that way. And I had to invest in hiring masseuses and going through an intense program of a few months of seeing these masseuses ongoing on all different parts of my body, so that I could remember what it felt like to unclench, to relax. And this included a pelvic floor therapist, because I knew like, okay, it's internal as much as it's external. And that's something I think we miss as women so much. Like it's not encouraged enough that we go and explore our internal. And why would it be if we're not even being encouraged to go and explore external, right? Like how often do people tell us, hey, go invest in a few months of massage so you can experience relaxation again? You know, not just an occasional like massage here and there, but like a therapeutic like program to allow yourself to start to release the tension and even become aware of where the tension patterns are. So same thing. It's if you're holding it on an outside, you're probably holding it on an inside and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So de-armoring first and foremost. And that's a very physical example of de-armoring, but then we've got the emotional part of it, which goes hand in hand. So why are we feeling so much tension in the body? You know, like what is it in our life that's causing us to feel resistance? and being open to the journey of being just like whatever the mystery is going to reveal to you, but being open to receiving like, oh, maybe I'm emotionally feeling resistance in this part of my life. I'm going to work on that. And so the more we bring attention to these different facets of our bodies, the emotional, the physical, as much as the energetic, the spiritual, the mind, then we start to open up our capacity to receive pleasure as much as we're starting to allow ourselves to receive the duality of the pain and the discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like you said this before, and I'll use the word journey, but it can be a long process, right? It's not just, take a blue pill or press a button, especially if you've felt you disconnected or have heavy armor for a long time. And I imagine trauma has a lot to do with it, experiencing trauma. And then the body's really smart, puts up armor, energetic armor, and the body keeps the score. And so there's nothing wrong with anyone if you are finding yourself in that space, right? And I love what you're saying. You're actually highlighting that it can be a long process, also obviously very rewarding and probably very frustrating along the way. And that's why there's professionals like you that people can work with to make the journey easier and also more obtainable to know exactly where to go. What about the doers, the doers, the partners, the givers, right? How can they, especially if there was someone with heavy armor, how can they show up in a way to help someone tap into their ultimate pleasure, to their transcendent orgasms, including cervical orgasms?
I love this question. And I love that because there's so many partners that come to me with that same question. And, in my more immature days, I'd be like, there's nothing you can do.
Sorry.
Sorry. Make sure she's doing all the work. But there's actually quite a bit that a partner can do. And it's the same process. We mirror nervous systems. So if we're in the presence of a nervous system that is, let's say, what's that name that we give for like a healthy, is it just healthy attachment?
When you're not secure.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was like, what's the name of it? Yeah. So if we're in the presence of a partner who has secure attachment and someone who also experiences deep relaxation in their own body, then we start to, by default, mirror that experience because we're getting the direct proximity and the calibration to the nervous system that we didn't have access to, right? You brought up trauma. Yes, trauma is a big part of it that we didn't have access to in our surroundings growing up and for most of our lives. So that's one thing. Like it's actually do the deep internal work. And then now let's say you have and you are there and you're like, well, she's still not getting it. How can I do it in a facilitated experience with her? Time, patience, presence. Yeah. No like rushing to get to a goal, like and this is why the work that I did as a somatic dominatrix or sensual dominatrix was so powerful because it was a container purely curated for the other person's pleasure, for the other person's journey, without there being any sort of goal like set into the experience. It was like, hey, for this amount of time, this is for you to just soften into your body. And it's enough to say it, but it's more to actually give them the experience of it. So actually to give them presence and to show by your own modeling of like present love that you're not going anywhere and that you don't want anything from them except for them to literally just have the blissful, most expansive time of their life. And if that means that they're just sitting there doing nothing, fine, right? Like if it just means they're receiving some light touch from you and kind of working through the discomfort of what it means to sit still and not have to do something, fine, perfect. Like we just want to rewire our conditioning around what our partnered experiences are supposed to be when we've been so wired to believe that they should be goal oriented, because that puts so much pressure on both people and your nervous system automatically armors up when you feel pressure.
Totally.
Okay, so you need penetration though for
cervical
orgasms too, right? I'm just thinking. I was like, hold up, because
can I do it from touching April's belly button?
That would be amazing, Amy. We
that was kind of creepy though, actually.
Yeah, then I'd be like, okay,
yeah.
Okay,
we never get any work done. I'm just doing it. I'm doing it right now.
Like, oh, she's diddling my belly button again.
No, she's like transcended. She's
That's
not
an HR nightmare,
yeah,
Amy.
It is an HR nightmare. Call HR. Shit, we're fucked. We don't have an HR department at Shameless Sex.
We don't.
We need one. Shit.
You are the HR.
We don't.
Not so good. Perfect example for corporates. Okay, yes, we do definitely need penetration for cervical orgasm, but not necessarily for transcendental. So let's say that, yes, we want to get into the penetrative part. So from the back, we're going to hit that posterior region. We'll hit the cervix more likely. And so I would say, like, if you're already at penetration, like you're feeling all of that arousal and you're ready for penetration and you're curious about experiencing cervical orgasm, less movement is key. Less movement. Like the more still you can be as a man or woman or whomever it is that's doing the penetration, that's perfect, because now you're going to allow the receiver to attune to her own or his, own needs. Right. So then they get to move according to, what does it feel like if I do this? What does it feel like if I do that, rather than what the other person does? So you want the receiver to really gain a lot of like agency over what they're doing, and the doer to be very cognizant and aware and just track, right? And notice, like, when they start to pause and they're feeling into something, just be present with them, breathe with them. That's it. And I know that can be really tough for some doers to keep it hard.
Or you're like, what's wrong? Are you something wrong? Are you okay? Are you liking this?
Yeah.
Okay. So real quick though, how do you know because people will ask this question, how do you know when you've had a cervical orgasm? You talked about a lot of the different erogenous internal areas that we can point to, but not really because they're inside.
Yeah.
And how do we know? What does it typically feel like? I know everybody's different when you have a cervical orgasm. Like my whole body's coming, or is it? Or yeah, do I levitate?
Yes, if you levitate, you had a cervical orgasm. No joke,
for sure. Yeah,
100%. You know that. Great question. You can't not know. Like when someone's like, I'm not sure if I've had it. In most cases, I'm thinking, they probably haven't had it, or they have, but they just it was too transient of an experience for them. Because a cervical orgasm is something that lasts. It lasts. And it's so wildly different from the orgasm that you get through the most popular access point, which is their clitoris. So it's so different. So a cervical orgasm, it doesn't even feel like it's sharp and in one area. It doesn't feel like you need more stimulation in order to reach a higher peak, or like to finally reach your peak. You don't feel a refractory period. It is more long lasting, and it's a very slow climb. Like Mantak Chia talks about it as the valley rather than, I forget what
a mountain
one is.
That's good. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good one. That works.
There you go, Mantak Chia. If you didn't use that, now
you're welcome.
It's yours.
You're so welcome.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's a valley. It's so kind. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. So for me with cervical orgasms, I wouldn't say cervical, I'll say transcendent orgasms. I've had a lot of them, and they're not easily replicable. Like it's not like, okay, today it's transcendent orgasm day. And I've had it from deep penetration around the cervix, but I've also had it from, April, I like to say JTT, just the tip.
What's that?
So having a cock or fingers or something just in like the first inch of the vaginal canal, but it's slow. Like there's very little movement, and I'm already super aroused. And I've had these experiences where I didn't even need something deep inside of me, where I felt like I felt like I could have an orgasm forever. I didn't know if it was many different ones or one long one and it could last forever. I felt like a witch in the best way. I felt like the sounds I was making probably scared the neighbors, and they probably wanted to call the cops. And it was amazing.
That's happened with me, not this witchiness, but the cervical orgasm feeling where the noises are coming out, because I'll have a magic wand on my exterior bits, right? And then penetration for my partner. And it's been, that's when I know I've had a cervical orgasm, because it's all the thing. And it's exactly what you were saying. It's like
going, like going. Yeah.
Like throwing a pebble on a lake, and it does last, and it doesn't burn you. You don't get burnt out. It's if I have a clitoral orgasm.
You don't get burnt out.
Yes. It's like my clitoral orgasms. You can't touch my bits after that. Like, I can have like vaginal penetration, but no clitoral stimulation after clitoral orgasm. So that makes sense. And I love how you described it, Katrina, because it totally is this, there's no refractory period where you're not
endless.
Yes.
Like it can be. Yeah.
Tell me more.
Fact. Most pussy owners need some sort of clitoral stimulation to orgasm, and many are not having orgasms from penetrative sex.
Say what?
I know, right? This is one of the many reasons why we are obsessed with OMG Yes. Not only has it changed our lives in the orgasm department, but I've been recommending OMG Yes to my clients for years, and it's completely changed their sex lives as well. OMG Yes features scientific research of real vulva owners, aka women, showing techniques to pleasure the pussy. They turn the research into tasteful, educational short videos, animated modules, and infographics for easy visual learning.
They call it OMG Yes for a reason, because OMG Yes is for anyone who wants to learn about pussy pleasure or take it to the next level. Whether you're a beginner or someone who wants to take your orgasms from good to mind-blowing, then you need to check out OMG Yes. They have 3 seasons: external pleasure, internal pleasure, and sex toys. It's not a subscription service, y'all, so you don't need to download a single thing. And it's great for partners who want to pleasure that pussy too. And for listeners of our show, OMG Yes is offering 10% off when you go to omgyes.com/shameless. Again, that's omgyes.com/shameless to receive 10% off unlimited access towards enhancing your pleasure power forever. Newsflash, everybody. We are picky about our lubes.
Can we say uber picky?
Yes, we can. And let me tell you all why Uber Lube is our absolute favorite lube ever. Uber Lube is a luxurious silicone lubricant that I want all over my body. Yes, it's designed for sex because it enhances intimacy while allowing you to still feel the skin-on-skin contact, but it feels so good that I want it everywhere. Uber Lube is long-lasting, leaves your skin feeling velvety smooth, and it's there when you want it, but then it dissipates when you're done.
Yes. Aside from using Uber Lube for all of my sexy sessions, and I use it all the time, I also use it for massages, for my hair frizzies, to prevent chafing, and it brings out the color of your beautiful tattoos. Thousands of doctors and therapists in the US alone are recommending Uber Lube to their patients because it's body-friendly, less likely to change the pH, and has vitamin E, so it feels moisturizing on the skin. Uber Lube has no flavor or scent, which means it's also great for oral sex. And it comes in a beautiful glass bottle with a pump top, which means easy access to Pleasure Town.
Want to see why we think Uber Lube is the best lube in the world? Then go to uberlube.com and use discount code SHAMELESS to get 10% off and free shipping. Again, that's uberlube.com right now with code SHAMELESS for 10% off and free shipping.
Okay, so actually with the thing I just said, do you think though with what you're talking about, all these tools that people can learn, like for me, I haven't learned how to replicate whenever I want, like today's cervical orgasm day. Do you feel like people could do that they could tap into it in such a deep way? Like, can you do that? Or the other people, they're like, today I want that now, so I know how to do it. Or does it really not work that way?
It's cyclical for me, for sure. And that's how I work with my clients as well. In the sense that like our cycles itself, like our menstrual, like monthly cycles, but also like the seasons of our life. Because sometimes are either of you mothers?
No.
Me either. I'm a dog mom. Okay.
Yeah, we're dog moms and have children. Well, partners have children. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but we did not birth anyone. So no.
Okay, but your partners have children. So, like when kids are prioritized, especially when they're not your own, right? Like you didn't get the opportunity to raise them to your standards, then lives. And that means that there's a lot of stress accumulation in the body, which means that it's going to be a little less, accessible to reach this orgasm that requires such deep parasympathetic relaxation.
Mm-hmm.
So seasonal, like we naturally as human beings are going to go through different seasons in our life where the demands are pretty high and we're being stretched. In the best way possible. Yeah. But yes.
I know. All of us were like, teenage boys all of a sudden.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me pause right there. Mic drop.
Yeah. Mic drop.
Mic drop. Don't drop yours though, because it's a nice looking mic right now. We need it.
Me too. Yeah. It's like I can at will, but it means that if I have responsibilities in my life, I'll have to, and I don't have the capacity, like I haven't stretched my nervous system to be at the capacity to meet those demands, then I'll have to put those things to the side to just focus on my pleasure. Right. So it's like, it can be a one and when you build the capacity. And so that's why the cultivation practices are so important. That Mantak Chia or these Taoist tantric practices that we've heard of, that's why they come into play. Because when we actively do those in the midst of our daily demands of life, we start to build more capacity for pleasure amidst the discomforts and the stress. We can metabolize things quicker. And that means we can then access that deep pleasure much quicker. So yes and no. To your question.
It's a holistic approach, right? It starts from a specific, it's almost what you talked about with conditioning, especially in terms of couples play, partnership, when you're conditioned in certain ways. And this is so much what we talked about in our book, because it's hard to undo sometimes the things that are conditioned or in your brain, you don't understand that might limit your ability to have a specific thing happen in your life. So the meditation piece, I think you spoke of in the beginning about your journey, right? In the field of sexuality, meditation seemed to be a part of the process that helped you get to this place that you're at, and to be able to actually instruct and teach and somatically heal, if you will, folks that want to experience these various, I don't want to say levels, because this is something that I don't think is fair to say. I don't believe there's a hierarchy of orgasm, and I know that you might feel differently. And yes, I would love if cervical orgasms happened often, and I don't want to punish myself or anyone that hasn't been able to achieve that and that's only had orgasm from clitoral stimulation or orgasm from watching some sort of puppy play. I don't know. Not dogs, but people.
That we human puppy play, everyone. Just so you know. Just so you know.
So that's the thing. Will you touch on that a little bit? Your opinion on how you feel about that. Is there a hierarchy of orgasm? And if so, why? Or why not? No.
I always speak of the cervical orgasm as creme de la creme. And I understand that, when we hear something like that, like sex educators being very black and white about pleasure and what it means, that it can bring up a lot of shame within our own experiences. I'm certainly one of those women that have gone through that experience. And also, rather than like labeling it as shame and then like kind of packaging it away as discomfort, letting that be the door of opportunity. It's like, oh, someone's claiming for that to be like creme de la creme. And there are quite a few people who like to say that. I wonder why. I wonder what kind of, like not to make it personal and make it that there's something wrong with me, but I wonder what mystery lies ahead of me if I were to explore something different. And that doesn't mean that the process is going to be easy, but it's for different people, like everyone's different. Not everyone's meant to like have cervical orgasms throughout the rest of their life.
I mean, some people don't like penetration. Too, right? Like some people don't want anything inside of them at all. And so I think that's what may be problematic to say, like, here's this thing but you don't want it to be inside of you, so we can't get there. Yeah. But you're saying you can do transcendent orgasms even outside of internal penetration too.
Absolutely. And that the thing is, like, the transcendental orgasm that I first experienced, the transcendental experiences that people get, they're doing deep emotional cathartic release. So it's because you're starting to let go of the baggage. Like you're becoming lighter. You're feeling again. Like you have to feel the intensity of pain in order to feel the intensity of pleasure. And that's why I do stand by the fact that it's creme de la creme, because it sets a standard that you can opt in for. You don't have to, and it doesn't make you wrong for not opting in for it, but it means that there's a possibility for more if you want it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
like if I want to get something if I want to experience that again at will, whenever I want to, I can do it.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
such
and
a freeing experience when you have that, when you're like, I have choice here, as opposed to like it feels hard or impossible. And I think with what you just said, we'll connect to the next question about, was we kind of alluded to how cervical orgasms, and we'll say also transcendent orgasms, how they can enhance well, it's a question, but also I already know the answer a little bit, how they can enhance your life beyond sex, right? And you've had this experience personally and you shared a little bit about this already, by having cervical and or transcendent orgasms, it has funneled into other aspects of your life and greatly benefited your world, your inner world.
Yeah, 100%. I would say it's so personal, like, because it's been like the biggest like transformation of my life. I realized when I had that, so I went 15 years without a cervical orgasm. You know, I think that's important to name. You know, like I had one when I was maybe in my 20s. Yeah, early 20s with my second sexual partner. And it was the best sex of my life. And I never had great sex after that until a couple of years ago. So that's 15 years of me having really, like, what I hear from my clients and from my friends is really standard for us as women, which is suboptimal sex, you know, not like fully in our pleasure and in our capacity. And then all of a sudden, after, you know, doing this deep, like, emotional alchemy, I called in a partner who was ready to receive me. And I went for it and I got my cervical orgasm. I wasn't trying to get it. She was screaming. The cervix was like, I want this so bad. I was like, okay, you're going to get it. And I didn't know she was going to give me a cervical orgasm. All I knew is that she was hungry and she wanted something. But because I had that experience for the first time in 15 years, I realized what I was missing out on. And I realized how I was setting standards that were like less than what my capacity was. And that I could opt into a completely different experience for my relationships moving forward and for my relationship to myself. So it really radically shifts that, and that bleeds into everything else. And I'll just mention business as one of them, because you're business ladies, right? And so, like, rather than chasing the hits and the highs of who's showing up on my live today, or who's showing up on my masterclass, or who's signing up, how much visibility am I getting? Like, those are like the small dopamine hits of a shorter orgasm. So rather than that, staying the course with your capacity and knowing and trusting, like when you have the itch within you, if you're already asking the question, right? If you're like, oh, how could I have it? Is it possible to have it at will? Like, there's a desire. And so that desire is probably craving something more expansive than you're allowing yourself to fully lean into, right? So when you allow yourself to kind of stay with the desire rather than the quick dopamine hits, and doing whatever it takes to just be with that desire, then she'll reward you greatly, because you'll be in a state of receptivity for it.
Not to mention that I feel like it helps your skin glow.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you have a glow, and I'm like, thank you. I have a lot of orgasms, and some of them are cervical, and now I know how to work on having more cervical orgasms. So thank you for that, Katrina, amongst all the other pieces that you shared with us today, because I really love how you deliver information. And I know Amy was more familiar with your work than I was. So thank you for breaking it down in a way that's relatable. It wasn't overly woo, which can sometimes be scary, where it sounds unattainable, or kind of that woo piece of information that I'm like, that will never happen for some of our listeners. Are going to be like, we're over it. I'm never trying that again. But now it's like, no, it's very easy to do. And your body is capable of having these orgasms.
Am I allowed to name other industry people that I like?
Of course.
I don't, it's not, okay. It's not that I'm in disagreement.
If they consent to it, so go for it.
Oh, really? Well, I don't know her personally. I'm just saying, like, whatever. You know, there's things that are said about this orgasm that I think, like, it's important to kind of call out.
Yeah. You can say anyone's name, okay?
Especially if they're in the industry and they're out, like, on, you know,
they're putting themselves out.
Yeah.
I welcome other people calling me out. That's fine. That's why I'm out there. Okay. Like, Kim and Ami will say things like, this is not an orgasm that you can phone in. You know, what she means by that is, like, you got to do a lot of work to get it. But what it sounds like, you know, when I hear her say it, is like, it's not possible to have this orgasm with a casual sex partner, and that's total BS.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not, the power doesn't rely on someone else. Actually, it's all within ourselves. You can get it from whomever, however you want it, anytime you want it. And actually, it's easier in some ways to get it with a casual partner, because how many times have you ladies had some of the best sex ever with someone who was just casual?
Yes, a lot of times, usually in one session.
Right.
Yeah, never the first time for me, but the second, third.
Amy, 2 words. Freedom.
Yes. Yeah, that's a specific person she's referring to. Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, so there's that. There's a sense of freedom in it. Like there's a sense of abandon. There's a sense of like, you also don't have as much time with a casual partner to get triggered.
Sorry, I'm laughing. She said 2 words.
I have to
Sorry, she said 2 words. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just like, I just realized she said 2 words.
2 words? What is that?
Well, it was freedom.
It was. I was being funny.
But she had this casual sex experience, and then she was like messaging me like a couple days later.
That's why I said freedom.
Yeah, and she was like, "Oh my god!" Like her mind, body, pussy, cervix, everything was blown in the best ways.
Yes, and I didn't have a lot of experiences with him. It was one stint of time that took 5 days, and it was just
still possible. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. And I think it'd be different for everyone, because for some people, maybe casual sex is like, it's harder for you to relax and surrender and feel safe. And for some people, that's harder though, with people, really well, your partner, especially because of all the buildup. That's probably what you're alluding to, like of the history behind our relationship and all the baggage. So I think it's probably it really just always depends. What you're saying is, it's yours though. It's not dependent on them. It's about you and how, and what you learn about yourself and how you treat yourself and show up in sex and what you do with it.
Yeah.
And that's
your
empowering.
Capacity, like build your capacity, trust your capacity, and like, let your pussy be your oracle.
Yeah. I love that. I love your, let me talk to my oracle.
Speaking of oracles, how can you, Katrina, and I should say, how can people find you, Katrina?
She can work
and work with you and learn more about their oracle pussies, and you're the oracle of that oracle. I don't know.
It's a lot of oracles.
People. The oracle of the oracles.
Or she's for the people. The oracle for the people.
The head oracle.
The cervical oracle.
The cervical oracle. You can find me on Instagram. Just drop on over to my Instagram. I'm sure it'll be in the show notes at Catrina Armendariz. And I will be launching masterclasses soon, inviting people into this work and this experience, which expands beyond just, the orgasm, but really into the empowerment of, I would say, like, our pleasure sovereignty, our orgasmic sovereignty, like just how we were saying, like it's really in you, like you have the capacity. It's not dependent on anyone else. It's not dependent on any external circumstance. It's really dependent on you. So you actually have the power to achieve this pleasure for yourself, not just with sex, not just in like orgasm itself, but in your business, in your life, in your relationships. Like you don't have to settle for something that feels like less than what you're actually desiring, fully desiring.
And so if they want to work with you, you can find your Instagram handle and DM
Shoot me a DM.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
And we'll have your website too, because your last name is amazing and really hard to spell if you're not. Yes. So we'll make sure that we hook y'all up, and you can just look in the show notes. And Katrina, really, thank you so much. This was fun. We had a lot of laugh out loud moments that I appreciate.
And learned a lot.
And learned so much. So
my oracle is excited for the future endeavors.
Your cervical oracle?
The cervical oracle.
The cervical oracle. We need a t-shirt with that one. So to all of our listeners out there, check out Katrina on Instagram, YouTube, or her website, and her master classes that are coming out, and get in touch with your transcendent orgasm and your cervical oracle, which I think I'm going to do later today, not through the belly button or Amy diddling the belly button. Darn it. So we would love if you would get in touch with your reviews in your hands. You have the ability, 1 or 2 hands, just go to your phone and type Shameless Sex on whatever podcast app you're listening to and review us, give us 5 stars. You don't even have to write anything like really long, just some emojis, but 5 stars are appreciated. It helps more people find their transcendent orgasm and their shameless sex that they deserve.
And also, supposed to shout out, Katrina also has a podcast too.
That's right. I forgot about the podcast and the YouTube channel.
I didn't know.
Let me mention that actually. So the podcast, the whole first season is all about cervical orgasm and transcendental orgasm.
Perfect.
What is it called? What?
It's currently called Essentia. I've changed it a couple of times, the name of it. Essentia, ESENCIA.
Okay. So if people go to your website through the show notes, they can find the podcast?
Go to my Instagram. You'll see everything on the Instagram.
Cool.
And then also the YouTube, which is really huge. So the de-armoring practices, like the breast massage, it's a really great one and you'll love it, everybody. You might get off on it. That's totally fine.
I love this.
The Instagram.
That's awesome. On the Instagram, on the YouTube. So use one hand to review us, the other hand to search for the YouTube channel of Katrina, because I think that's awesome. And then the other foot you can use for the podcast. Yeah, then you can use the foot for the breast massage maybe. That's really great. I like this.
And maybe use a nipple for something. I don't know. Why not?
Yeah. So listen up, everybody. We love you. I hope you feel that deep in your heart and in your body. And we will see you next Tuesday. Remember that we also have premium content. It's very affordable. It helps support us and this podcast, keeping it alive. So we will see you next Tuesday. Ciao for now.
To learn more, go to shamelesssex.com.
And for 15% off some of our favorite sex toys, use code SHAMELESSSEX at purepleasureshop.com.